Hey everybody, welcome to the G. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina, and we have a wedding today. Or do we? Or don't we? Or do we? Or don't we? Hmm. Some curious things happened today, and also stay tuned if you want to find out how I compare this episode to Batman. You'll have to stay tuned. So I have a Christmas wish to have 1,000 subscribers for a Christmas miracle. I have over 130 as of now, and I thank all of you that have been subscribing. But I need 900 more. This is Friday, so it's got to be Star Trek Day. And don't forget Flashback Monday that I work so hard on and nobody watches, where I talk about books I was reading in 2008. So, anyways, it's Friday. And the other day we did Final Mission, then we did Troy's episode of The Lost. Now Data gets an episode in Data's Day. Data's Day is an entire day narrated by Data, how he sees his day. Okay. Most of the episode is done in voiceover by Brent Spinner. Um, he says, uh, Second Officer Personal Log, Commander Bruce Maddox, Cybernetics. Oh, record entry for transmission to Commander Bruce Maddox, Cybernetics Division, Daystrom Institute. Dear Commander Maddox, in reference to your most recent letter, I agree that your study lacks sufficient primary source information on my programming and operation. Therefore, in response to your request, this correspondence will include a complete record of my activities during a normal day, with particular emphasis on my perceptions of friendship. Riker comes in. It says, Commander, you are 15 minutes early. Riker says, Well, it's a special day. I thought the father of the bride would enjoy being relieved early on the wedding day. Data says, Thank you, sir. Riker says, Nervous. Data says, I cannot become nervous, sir. However, I do sense a certain anticipation regarding my role in the wedding. Riker says, Anything to report. Data says all systems normal, sir. Sickbay reported that Lieutenant Juarez went into labor at 0400 hours. We remain on station awaiting the arrival of the Starship Zukov, and guest quarters have been prepared for Ambassador T'Pau. Thank you. I have the bridge. Aye, sir. Riker says, begin day watch. Data leaves the bridge and heads towards KEIKO's. He's continuing his voiceover. Initially, Commander Maddox, I found it difficult to maintain friendship since human emotions are often puzzling to me. Eventually, I developed a program enabling me to predict human emotional responses to specific actions. Who knew that this role would give her a she might be an extra here, but by Marion O'Brien, she gets a permanent role on Deep Space Nine. Another recurring character role. Good career. Or is she? Data comes into KEIKO's quarters. Data says it's time for the wedding rehearsal. KEIKO says, I know, Data, I've decided not to go through with it. Data says, you do not wish to rehearse? KEIKO says, no, I'm calling off the wedding. Data says, may I ask why? KEIKO says, it's just the right thing to do. Data says, have your feelings for Chief O'Brien changed? KEIKO says, I'm supposed to be getting married, Data. I should be happy, but I'm not. I just feel this weight pressing down on me. Data says, will canceling the wedding make you happy? KEIKO says yes. He'll probably be just as relieved as I am, Data. You introduced us. You've seen a lot to both of us. I really appreciate it if you would talk to Miles for me. Data says, if you wish. Now, she's got cold feet, is what she's got. She's a nervous wreck. All that planning, all that catering, all that hotel. Oh, wait a minute, she's got a starship. So, I guess they'll go to the holodeck for their honeymoon, huh? Or they go to a planet. They never really said. But I would still like Palamini to become a regular member of the cast. But he's ever in a recurring role. It would be nice if he was a regular member. And you gotta stay tuned to see how many times his veil falls in my face. I do have to say that when Data, I would show you, but I'm afraid of copyright kind of stuff. But when Data walks in the 10 forward, the camera pans around the circle. I get a little dizzy, but it's a cool pan all the way around. So he goes into 10 forward and he goes, my friend Chief O'Brien say that all above else he wants to make KEIKO happy. Since canceling the wedding will make her happy, I must conclude that Chief will be pleased at her decision. Data walks in and says, I have good news. O'Brien says, oh. Data says, yes, KEIKO has made the decision designed to increase her happiness. She has canceled the wedding. O'Brien's like, what? Canceled the wedding today without even a word of, well, the child is selfish, irresponsible. And he leaves. And then Jody gets in Data's face and says, next time maybe I should deliver the good news. I'm like, this hosted, I'm like, oh, good God, Data, how in the world would you think that this was good news? It's not good news. No, it's been a few years. Data's voiceover again. Maddox, it would appear that my program designed to predict emotional responses needs adjustment. I believe we need a funeral as there is no Ensign Allenby in this episode, and I believe we will get a new cast member soon. Ensign Allenby has disappeared. I will talk about this later. But all of a sudden, she's gone. Are you taking off your collar? I see you, sneaky one. My co-host is on the floor. And I've lost my place here. Just wanted to point out that in the opening credits, this is where Wesley Crusher's name would have been. Will Wheaton. After Brent Spiner, there's this big empty space, and it stays empty. I think, I don't know if they add the lady to it or not, but the space stays empty. And it's like, I wish the name was there. Do you wish the name was there? When we get back from opening credits, Data is still doing his voiceover. He says, this is the 1,550th day since the Enterprise was commissioned. Besides the arrival of Ambassador T'Pol, other events occurring today include 4 birthdays, 2 personal transfers, and a celebration of the Hindu Festival of Lights, 2 chess tournaments, 1 secondary school play, and 4 promotions. Hey, hey, no, no, no. She's playing with my wire. Smokey, Ah, sorry. No special editing here. I don't have the talent. I'm sorry. Just read books, talk about books, watch Star Trek, talk about Star Trek. Um, so I wanted to see. Um, so I should have figured this out before, but 365 times 4. Oh, so it's, I get it now. It's, see, I don't know if you can see 1460. So they included the summer in that. So this is the 1550th day since the show started. Ta-da! You know something. Um, uh, since the Enterprise was um, commissioned, besides the survival of T'Pau, other events occurring today: 4 birthdays, 2 personal transfers, a celebration of Hindu Festival of Lights, 2 chess tournaments, 1 secondary school play, 4 promotions overall, an ordinary day. And then he goes into the transporter. Oh look, Colin. He should be a permanent member of the cast. He should be in the opening credits. I've always said that. I've said this in the beginning. So then he goes to greet the ambassador. Um, she she wants to go see the captain, and then he continues with his voiceover. Since I am not affected by feelings or emotional consideration, I am closer to being Vulcan than human. However, while their devotion to logic does have a certain appeal, I find their stark philosophy to be somewhat limited. Then he takes it to the captain's ready room, and he introduces. Uh, she walks in, and he's like, Ambassador Tapil, and she's like, I come to serve. And then he's like, please, your service honors us. This is my first officer, William Riker. And she says, leave. So everybody leaves. They come out of the thing, and Riker goes, charming woman. And Data in his voiceover says, the tone of Commander Riker's voice makes me suspect that he is not serious about finding Ambassador T'Pau charming. My experience suggests that in fact he may mean the exact opposite of what he says. Irony is a form of expression I have not yet been able to master. Neither has Sheldon mastered sarcasm on The Big Bang Theory. Just saying. Now, I want to ask you, this was not funny, not even close to being humorous. These are science fiction writers. They should not write comedy. They should have brought in a comedy writer. This was not funny at all. Not even close. Not even humorous. Not even put a smile on your face. This thing was horrible. It hurt. It was painful to watch. Val says, you don't need a haircut. You were just in here last week. Jordy says, hey, if you done it right the first time, I wouldn't need to be back here so soon. Val says, I don't want to look beautiful. I'm just a barber, not a miracle worker. Jordy says, just try to keep my ears on straight today, all right? It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. Not in the least. I don't get it. So then Data comes in, and he's doing the voiceover first. Friendly insults and jibes, another form of human speech that I am attempting to master, in this case with the help of Commander Geordi LaForge. Geordi says, hi, Data. Data says, I consider Geordi to my best friend. Geordi says, here for trim? He says, my hair does not require trimming, you lunkhead. Geordi says, what? My hair does not require... Geordi said, lunkhead? I'm experimenting with friendly insults and jibes. It was not meant as a serious disparagement. Well, I wouldn't try it out on the captain. Geordi says, I am still confused. Data says, Jordy, I'm still confused about Chief O'Brien's reaction this morning. Jordy said he was just surprised, Data. He didn't mean to blow up like that. He knows KEIKO probably doesn't want to call off the marriage. She's just getting cold feet. Data says, cold feet, jitters, a nervous reaction to an impending event of great importance. Jordy says, right, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. She'll change her mind again. Data says, she will? Jordy says, absolutely. Data says, then you believe the marriage will still proceed. Trust me, they're going to get married, so you better find a gift. Now, this could have been really scary, but the fact that Worf has human parents and has attended weddings with his human parents and knows wedding traditions, it's okay. But if it hadn't been, it had been scary. It could have very scary potential. Um, so Data says, I find Lieutenant Worf to be what is called a kindred spirit. We're both orphans and we're both rescued by Starfleet officers. In many ways, we are both still outsiders in human society. Data says, are you here to find a wedding gift? Worf says, yes. I would appreciate your help in selecting an appropriate item. Worf says, of course, I have attended human weddings before. And then they look at glassware. And Data says, is this a traditional gift? Worf says, my adoptive parents gave these things at family weddings at human custom. Data says, it was my understanding that the item selected should reflect the personality of whoever giving it. That does not reflect, this does not remind me of you. And I'm like, no, he's correct. The glassware is absolutely correct. Not a Klingon item. You don't give a Klingon item to an Irish and Japanese lady. You just don't give a Klingon item. You give the glassware, the stemware. That's perfect. Um, have you ever been an actual participant in a human wedding? Worf says no. You would not consider it to be an honor? An honor, perhaps, but human bonding rituals involve a great deal of talking, dancing, and crying. Data says, dancing? It That's an appropriate wedding gift. Not a Klingon wedding gift, but a human wedding gift. That's appropriate. You'd use it for decorations. You wouldn't actually use it. Speaking of which, I have mine. I've never used them. It's been 30 years. I haven't used them. So then Data goes to ask Beverly. He's on his way to sick bay and he goes, I'm really in need of Dr. Crush's professional services as my biomechanical maintenance program is self-sufficient. But I often observe as she practices medicine on others, and I've learned a great deal about the human interaction from her. Data walks in and says, may I ask a favor of you? And Beverly says, of course, Data. Will you teach me how to dance? She's like, what? He's like, I would like to learn how to dance. Why me? It is in your service record, awarded first place in tap and jazz competition, St. Louis Academy. Okay. I said something to upset you? Beverly says, it's just that was a long time ago and I don't want to be known as the dancing doctor again. Then your answer is no. Beverly, all right, let's keep it between you and me. Of course, doctor. And she does the zip the lips. Picard's voice, Commander Data, please report to the bridge. When we get to the bridge, Picard says, Mr. Data, based on your analysis, what is the current Romulan strategy behind the deployment of their ships in this sector? Data says the ships are deployed to support a policy of confrontation designed to test Federation defenses along the neutral zone. Picard says, do you predict any change in the near future? Data says, I predict a 90% probability that they will continue to support that policy. And is there any indication of more conciliatory attitude on their part? Data says, no, sir. T'Pel says, caution is clearly called for, Captain. However, the mission must proceed as planned. Picard says, Starfleet agrees with you, but I would feel better if you would consent to an escort or, and she's like, no. And he's like, thank you, Data. believe Data named the cat Spot. Didn't he? Isn't the cat named Spot? So he goes in and feeds the cat. And then he says, computer diagnostic complete, all systems functioning normal parameters. And then his doorbell rings. That cat wants out of there big time. He's squirmy all over the place. And Chief O'Brien comes in. Am I intruding, Commander? Data says no. Would you care to sit? When one of my friends is destroyed, I have learned that the thoughtful thing to do is to attempt to make him more comfortable. May I offer you some refreshment, Chief? O'Brien, no thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to apologize for this morning at 10-4. Data said there is no need to apologize. I was not offended. Would you like a pillow or a more comfortable chair to sit upon? O'Brien, no, sir. Thank you, sir. Perhaps you would like some music, some Brahms, some Ariella. O'Brien says, no, sir. I'm fine. I just came here to ask for your help. It's about KEIKO. I would like you to talk to her to convince her to go through with the wedding. Data says, wouldn't Counselor Troy be a more appropriate choice to speak with KEIKO? O'Brien says, she already has. It didn't help. You've known her longer than I have. Just thought she might listen to you. She won't even talk to me. Data says, I do not know what to say to her. O'Brien says, just talk to her. Try to make her see reason. She's going off half-cocked and not thinking this through. You've worked with her for a long time. She respects your opinion. Data says, perhaps she's not fully analyzed her decision. I will try. O'Brien says, thank you. I won't forget this. Data's voice over. Commander Maddox, I noted that KEIKO was quite calm and rational when she informed me of her decision this morning. Therefore, I predict that she will respond to an objective analysis of the situation based on the available facts. It is fortunate that she has not let emotional considerations cloud her judgment. It should make my task much simpler. And he goes to see KEIKO. So then after Chief O'Brien leaves, he's in the corridor again. Therefore, I can predict that she will respond to an objective analysis of the situation based on the available facts. It is fortunate that she has not let emotional consideration cloud her judgment. It should make my task much simpler. So he goes to see KEIKO, and she's like, what? Data says, I believe you made an incorrect analysis of the facts at hand. KEIKO says, what do you mean? Data says, you do not seem happy. KEIKO says, well, your decision was based on the assumption that canceling the wedding would make you happy. This decision has proved to be incorrect. Data, it's not that simple. Data says, since your action did not produce the desired results, the only advisable solution is to re-examine your decision-making process and look for errors. KEIKO says, I know what I was doing. It's my decision. Data says, the fact that it's not in dispute, however, you have acted with undue haste, and in doing so, you have unintentionally hurt Chief O'Brien's feelings. KEIKO says, I did what I had to. Why are you doing this to me? I thought you were my friend. Data says, I am your friend. She goes, then leave me alone. Data says, if I have offended, KEIKO says, just leave me alone. And Data walks out, and he has a voiceover. It's unclear that I need guidance to resolve this issue. Perhaps Counselor Troy should provide useful advice. So let's go see Counselor Troy. In many ways, she is the friend that I understand the least. Her life and her duties are predicted on her understanding that perception of emotion. Since I have none, no doubt she finds me as much a mystery as I find her. Chief O'Brien talks to me and KEIKO talks to you. Why do they not talk to each other? Troy says, that's a good question, Data. I wish I had a good answer for you. Perhaps when they're ready, they will. Data says, many aspects of this situation are puzzling to me. I have been studying various texts on the subject of marriage, but I have not found a suitable guide. Troy says, a suitable guide for what? Data says, an effort to be helpful. I'm attempting to calculate the variables involved in a successful marriage. Troy says, good luck with that. Data says there are many opinions on Galvin 5 and marriage is considered successful only if children are produced within the first year of marriage. Adrian marriages require groups of 4 people on this. Data, would you like my advice on how to help them? Don't. This is something they need to work out for themselves now. Data says, but I am their friend. Should I not stand with them in this time of difficulty? Troy says, there are many ways of being a helpful friend. Sometimes the best way is to leave them alone. Data says, do you believe marriage to be the correct decision for them to marry? Troy says, I don't know. They are very much in love. Sometimes that isn't enough. Marriage is an agreement to share who you are with someone else to spend your lives together. It's an agreement to share who you are with someone else, to spend your lives together, to grow old together. To grow old together, is that an intellectual component of marriage? Troy says, usually, why do you ask? Data says, although I'm an android, I have not excluded the possibility that I may too someday marry. Troy says, Data, I had no idea you thought about getting married. Data says, I believe I have much to offer a potential mate. However, we cannot grow old together because I will not grow old. Troy says, yeah, Daddy, you have a lot to offer. And then Chappelle interrupts their convo. Now, this should raise a lot of red flags with everybody. And if this was a human person, I totally, absolutely believe they would have went running to the captain with this information. But Data just brushes it off, and that is annoying as all hell, especially when the other incident happens later in the episode, and this particular incident is not mentioned, especially when the big reveal is revealed. So he goes to her quarters, and Data says, you have priority 3 clearance aboard the Enterprise. Data says, that's correct, Ambassador. I require information on the ship's defense and navigational system, access code Kappa Alpha 4601704. And Data says the code's valid. Now, if she knows this code and it's later revealed who she is, don't they need to go and change it? Doesn't Data need to bring this up to Picard? It's just, what is the field strength of the ship's deflector shields at maximum output? Data says, may I ask what the purpose for this quest? I require the information. Data says, I have the same safeguards as the ship's computer. Therefore, I must report my inquiry regarding restricted information to the captain. Your reaction suggests that you do not wish the captain to be informed of your inquiry. Why doesn't he tell the captain? Why doesn't he tell the captain? Chappelle says, I was not interested in the information. BS. I was curious as to your security safeguards. They appear to be adequate. Cancel request. You may leave. Again, why doesn't he go to the captain and, come here, report this incident? It just drives me nuts that he didn't report this incident at all. Then he goes into the hallway and he says, Commander Maddox, I have often wished for the sense that humans call intuition or instinct. Since Vulcans are incapable of lying, I must accept the ambassador's explanation as the truth. But I still wish he had a gut feeling. Me too. This whole thing is very questionable. And there's a big thing here. She's not Vulcan. Just saying. Okay, so he goes to Dr. Crusher to learn dance lessons. So she teaches him how to tap dance, and he does it really, really well. And she's really impressed that he learned it so quickly. He's a computer, he learns quickly. So, so they do the whole dance thing, and she's really, really impressed that he gets it so quickly. And then at the end of the dance lesson, he says that Thank you. I should be able to dance at the wedding. And she's like, wait. Wedding? You didn't say you wanted to learn how to dance at the wedding. Um, so then she says, look, why don't I just teach you a style of dancing that they will do at the wedding? Computer, a run, isn't it romantic? And then Beverly says, compared to what we've just done, this will be simple. Just look up and follow me. And he looks up. And she's like, no. And he steps on her feet and everything. And then he's like, stop music. And he's like, I'm sorry. I don't get it. You picked up tap dancing so quickly. Data says, I can't produce your performance if I can't see your feet. She's like, all right, this time watch my feet. Don't just imitate me. You've got to lead. And he's like, lead where? And I'm like, why didn't Beverly create a male hologram character for her to dance with to show Data what the couple looks like dancing? And so they do the thing, and then she tells him to smile. Now, tell me you did not think of Denise Crosby when you saw this. Tell me you did not think of Tasha Yar when you saw this. Tell me you did not think that was the creepiest smile you've ever seen in your life with the Batman's Riddler or Joker. It was just creepy. It was just so creepy. But they should have done this to start with, to giving him a holographic uh, character. But she does look a lot like Tasha Yar. She just does. He didn't ask for it, but that's what the computer gave him. So I guess the computer thought he'd like it, and he does. But anyways, um, okay. So Data goes to the bridge, and Riker's telling a joke, and again, I don't get the joke. It's not funny. Sci-fi writers should not be writing jokes. They should get comedy writers to write these jokes. I don't get them. Data walks onto the bridge and he is a voiceover. Commander Riker's easygoing manner and sense of humor is fascinating to me. I believe it to be one reason he is so popular among the crew. It may be also particularly responsible for his success in matters of love. There may be a correlation between humor and sex. The need for more research is clearly indicated. So then they get to the rendezvous point. Data, Commander Picard to the bridge, all stop. Data says, Sir, we have reached the designated coordinates. Picard says, hold this position, long range scan. Data says, Captain, I'm detecting a ship in the neutral zone. Configuration Romulan Warbird. Yellow alert. Hail the Warbird, Mr. Worf. Aye, sir. They are responding text only. We are to proceed to the agreed coordinates. Picard says, set course 037 mark 005 warp 4. Take us into the neutral zone, Ensign. Worf says, Captain, the Warbird is holding position. In 3 minutes, we will be in phaser range. Picard says, red alert. I trust my crew ambassador. They will take no provocation unless I order them. T'Pol, hold position at these coordinates. Riker says, slow to half impulse. T'Pol says, open a channel. Worf, they open the channel. Oh, I wanted to mention before and I forgot, and I'm past it now. It'll take too long to go back. But she leans over Data's uh, shoulder and enters coordinates. How does she know these coordinates? How does she know how to operate a starship? She's supposed to be Vulcan. Anyways, it's just she does. There's too many red flags for me with her. So they go to the other guy, and he says, "I am Admiral Memdek." And T'Pol said, "There is no established protocol for a meeting of this nature. The logical course is that I transport aboard your ship and begin the negotiations." Mendick says, "Yes, Captain. I note your defensive systems have been activated." Picard says, "As of yours. It was not meant as an accusation. Indeed, I salute your show of strength. Ambassador, we are honored by your presence. You may transport aboard at your convenience. Chappelle says, the honor is mine. Have your transporter room ready to stand by. I will board their ship with no further delay. Picard says, Ambassador, I urge you one more time to reconsider. The Enterprise can accommodate a Romulan delegation without sacrificing security or... Chappelle says, Captain Picard, I find your arguments illogical. Please carry out my instructions. Picard says, bridge to Chief O'Brien. O'Brien says, voice O'Brien here. Picard says, prepare to beam Ambassador Chappelle to the Romulan ship. O'Brien's voice, aye, sir. And then she leaves. And she leaves alone. She goes to the transporter room alone. No one escorts her. No one shows her the way. She goes alone and unescorted. That did not make a hill of beans of sense to me. The whole incident was not shown. It just did not make a hill of beans of sense to me. So she walks to the transporter room all by herself. Picard says, at the first sign of trouble, I want to be able to bring her back. So they lock on her transponder. And Worf says, understood, transponder activated. Captain, O'Brien's voice, transporter emergency. I'm losing a signal. Worf says, boosting power to auto sequence. Data says, engaging computer over. Riker says, O'Brien, what's happening down there? O'Brien's voice, I'm losing the pattern, trying to reestablish. I'm sorry, sir, I wasn't able to retrieve the signal. The ambassador is dead. Then we have a voiceover by Data. Personal log supplemental. The risks aboard a starship are accepted by all who serve, but I've never failed to observe a deep emotional response to the loss of a comrade. It is at times like this that I gravely miss the ability to share human feelings. O'Brien is there and they're talking. Says the signal lock wasn't broken, sir. I just entered the transfer sequence when the ambassador's pattern began to break up. I tried to switch the emergency manual control, but the pattern deteriorated too quickly and... So Picard says, any prior malfunctions with this transporting unit? O'Brien says, no. In fact, we replaced the transporter coils only a week ago. Riker said, could there have been some kind of interference with the Romulans? O'Brien says, the shields were down. There was no power interruption, no subspace bias. Picard said, I want the unit pulled in, its systems checked again. I also want a level 1 diagnostic on all transporters. Geordi says, yes, sir. And then Beverly comes into the conversation and says, her molecular structure dissipated instantly since the pattern was lost. There was a few organic compounds left on the pad, but there wasn't enough material to do an autopsy. Picard says, to die on transporter accident, hardly a fitting end for one of the Federation's most honored diplomats. Is she? Was she an impersonator? Was she who she said she was? So they go through all this. So then we go back to the main bridge, and Menek says, we're still waiting, Captain. Is there a problem? Picard says, there's been an accident. Ambassador Chappelle has been killed in a transporter malfunction. McCann says, what kind of malfunction? Picard, we're investigating that as soon as. Menek says, I should have known the Federation wasn't serious about this conference. Picard said, Admiral, I assure you that the Federation places the highest priority on this mission and its goal. Mendick says, well played, Captain. Captain, well played. Starfleet opposes normalization of relations with the Romulan Empire, and so you are ordered to create an accident. Picard says, you are mistaken. I am ready and willing to discuss the establishment of full diplomatic relations under the same terms as Ambassador DePaul. McDuck says, a generous offer since you know that we're willing to negotiate only with DePaul. Salute you again, Captain. It's a maneuver worth of a Romulan. Again, hint, 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 hint. And what about the episode with Riker a couple of episodes ago where he lost 16 years and he negotiated the treaty with the Romulans? How come we don't bring that up either? So he says, get out of town. So the Enterprise leaves. So what happened to Ensign Allenby? They couldn't let her stick around for a couple more episodes. Although, hey, now he gets bragging rights. He doesn't have any lines, but he gets to be an ensign. He gets to sit up front and be front and center for the action. He gets bragging rights for the rest of his life. Then Picard goes over to Data. And I want you to take charge of the investigation, study computer logs, sensor information, everything. I refuse to believe this was a simple malfunction. Data says, aye, sir. Then there's a voiceover. Data's voiceover. Captain Picard was the first person who first interested me in the works of Sir Conan Doyle. I subsequently became an admirer of the fictional detective Sherlock Holmes and his ability to solve mysteries by careful examination of the available evidence. I have found Holmes' methodology of deduction reasoning to be quite useful. One of his adages is that once you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Data goes to see Beverly. She says, I'm sorry, I don't have time to give you another lesson right now. Data says, that's not my purpose. I'd like to examine the remains of T'Pel left on the transporter pad. Beverly says, I'm working on my report right now. Data says, have you compared the genetic code with the ambassador's last recorded transporter ID trace? She said, no, that's not standard procedure. Why? I could be pursuing an untamed orthodont caught without a cause. You have to think about it. All right, it's not a goose, but it is Thanksgiving, and this is all I have. Because she thinks about it and she goes, a wild goose chase? We could have a wild turkey chase, couldn't we? Couldn't we? I never did put up my Thanksgiving decorations this year, it just flew by. Oh, sure. Um, uh, all right, computer access transporter ID event Ambassador T'Pel. All right, there's genetic record of the ambassador when she was aboard the Enterprise. Now the breakdown of the organic material found on the transporter pad should be identical. Mitochondrial structure fits the parameters, no change in the nucleotide bases. There's a slight discrepancy in the pair sequence. Chemically, they are identical, however, the organic sample of the transporter is showing numerous single-bit errors like a replicated material. Data, can you postulate an explanation for the discrepancy? I'd say the DNA was either mutated by the transporter during the rematerialization process, a supposition not supported by the transporter records, or these aren't the remains of the ambassador. Ha ha, that's it, that's a clue. Oh, I don't know what is it today. So he goes reports. So he goes and reports. The only abnormality found during my investigation was a temporary increase in the matter-to-energy signal ratio. Due to the circumstances, I decided to investigate the possibility that a second transporter signal had caused the fluctuation. Although this was highly improbable, it was the only remaining theory. A second transporter signal from where? The Devos. Romulan transporters operate at similar subspace frequencies to our own. With minor adjustments, they can be made to simulate our own transporter carrier wave. Picard says, are you saying they beamed the ambassador off her own pad? Data, while simultaneously a small amount of genetic material was left in her place. Riker says, to make us believe she died as a result of the malfunction. Yes, sir. Mr. Worf, where is the divorce? Worf says, still in the neutral zone. And then they go to the neutral zone and they talk to the other ship. So they go back to the neutral zone. Why is the ship, after they successfully pulled this off, why are they still in the neutral zone? That's my question. Why are they still hanging out there? What's the whole deal? Waiting for the Enterprise to come back conveniently. They could have gone back to their own space, you know. But Captain Picard, you agreed to leave the neutral zone without Admiral Mendick. You are holding our ambassador captive. Mendick says, I assure you there is no one being held captive aboard this ship. Picard says, we know about the transporter malfunction and that you are holding Ambassador T'Pel. Captain Romulan Warbird declaring to starboard. Mendick says, I suggest you leave now. Admiral says, it's my responsibility to protect the lives of Federation citizens. I will not permit this objection to succeed. Captain, you're not going to start an incident. Admiral, I will take whatever action is necessary to return of the ambassador. Data says, in poker, there is a moment when a player must decide if an opponent is being deceptive or actually holds a winning hand. This decision is based not only on the odds, but also on appraisal of the man. Is he bluffing or does he have the cards? The jig is up. She reveals her true identity. End of that. She's a patriot of the Romulans. She belongs to them. The whole 9 yards. I still don't understand why Data didn't tell them the rest of it. Oh, God. So KEIKO has changed her mind. She's decided to go through with the wedding. She gives him a coronation. So we have our tea. There you go. We have our tea for the occasion. These sit in the china closet for 70 years. Just sitting there, never used. So we do our little, you sip one side, I sip the other side. Then we have the voiceover. Since the days of first wooden sailing ships, all captains have enjoyed the happy privilege of joining two people on the bonds of matrimony, and now is my honor to invite KEIKO and Miles Edward O'Brien together in marriage here in the sight of your family fence. Data says there are still many emotions I do not fully comprehend: anger, hatred, revenge. But I am not mystified by the desire to be loved or the need for friendship. These things I do understand. And then they go to the nursery and they're welcoming the new member. And Data has a continue. They welcome the new baby boy. And then we're back on the bridge the same way we started the episode. Riker turning over the day shift to Data. If being human is not simply a matter of being born flesh and blood, it is instead a way of thinking, acting, and feeling that I am hopeful that one day I will discover my own humanity. Until then, Commander Maddox, I continue learning, changing, growing, and trying to become more than I am. And every single time I make a video, no matter what time or day or night, the cuckoo clock goes off. It doesn't tell time. It hasn't told time in 20 years, but it still goes off. Tried to fix the mechanisms, it still goes off. That concludes our Data's Day. I hope you enjoyed. We're almost finished with this disc. We did the final mission, we did the loss, we did Data's Day. Next week we'll be doing the Wounded. Please check back for more Star Trek updates. Please check on Flashback Monday. Please hit the like and subscribe. I've got the fantasy of 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. I know it's not possible, but I can hope. Thank you. Most appreciated.